So today I want to share with you something that I call the Teapot game. And I'm going to share my screen so it's so we can see a bit better. All right, can you guys see my screen? It should appear in a second.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So this is the Teapot game, and this is a game that is used for verb conjugation, tense practicing questions and things like this. So let me explain quickly how it works. How to play the Teapot game. The teacher, and I will be the teacher for this example, thinks of an action verb. For example, drink, walk, write, fly, whatever. They keep this word a secret, so nobody knows this word apart from the teacher. The student or students need to guess the verb by asking questions. And the questions must include the verb they are trying to guess. But because they don't know the verb, it should be replaced with various forms of teapot. For example, can I teapot with others? Is teapotting something you do in the morning or in the evening? Have you ever been teapotted by someone else? Can I say that I am a teapotter? And then once the student thinks they have the correct verb, they can raise their hand and make a guess. So, you guys following so far? Do you want to give it a go?
Yeah.
All right.
Got it.
So in that case, I'll stop sharing my screen so we can see each other a little bit better. I've thought of a verb already. I'm well prepared. So guys, go ahead. You can, anyway, it's a free open questioning session. So go ahead.
Mm.
Can you teapot outside?
Do I teapot outside? Sometimes it's possible to teapot outside and it's possible to teapot inside.
Okay. Are we teapotting now?
No, we're not teapotting now. And I hope that we're not teapotting now, and I hope that nobody teapots today.
Okay. Is teapotting something that you usually do alone or with other people?
Teapotting is usually something you do with other people, but you might be the only person teapotting, but you are probably with other people.
Interesting.
Do people normally enjoy teapotting?
Not really, no.
Okay. Falling.
Say that again.
Falling.
Falling, no. Good guess. It would match everything I've said, but no, it's not falling. Francesca, you had a question?
Yeah, did you teapot in the new year?
No, I haven't teapotted this year. No.
Okay.
How often do people usually teapot?
It totally depends on the person. Some people teapot very often. Other people teapot hardly ever. But
Cry.
No, it's a good guess. But you can sometimes when you're teapotting, you might be crying as well.
Okay.
Do you teapot to someone?
Yes, you teapot to, and more specifically, you teapot at someone very often.
Is it shouting at someone?
It's teapotting is a form of shouting, I guess. Yes, but shouting is a little bit more understandable than teapotting. So you're almost there, Rosalind.
Blame.
No, not quite. It's almost very closely related to shouting.
Scolding.
Scolding, not quite. No, I tell you
Screaming?
what. Screaming. Yes.
Okay.
There you go. So the teapot word was scream. Yes. So you can, of course, use this with any verb. The verb is not the point. The point, of course, is changing the sentences and whatever. Of course, with low-level students, you could use words like read, walk, sleep, something easier. With high-level students, you could use scream or whatever. And yeah, while we're on the subject, let me just share my screen again. And I just want to give you a bit more information about just a few more points about this game. This game I use a lot, the Teapot game. I only use it really once or twice with each student because it becomes a little bit repetitive after a while, but it's a good game to use every now and again. And I think that the game is quite useful for a number of things, including practicing verb conjugation, whether we should say, do you teapot, teapotting, teapotted, practicing question forms as well, building rapport and having a laugh, obviously, and practicing grammatical tenses. So have you ever teapotted? Did you teapot yesterday? Did you teapot? Are you teapotting now? Things like this. And just a few suggestions. I mean, we played it we're all teachers. We kind of know the how things work. But of course, I was giving you extra information, and it's up to you. You can add more information, or you can just rely on questions. But you can, of course, note down mistakes that students make and then use that for some error correction after the game. So, for example, if someone says, have you teapot today? And it should be actually, have you teapotted today? And yeah, you can, of course, reverse the roles, get the student to think of a verb and you ask them questions. You can make it more complex with just answering yes and no, I guess, as well. And of course, you can play it in teams or between students and award points to add some kind of element of competition to it as well. So yeah, that is the Teapot game, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions from the Teapot game?
No, I was wondering what word could we use as Italian teachers instead of teapot.
We were, I mean, I was doing that years ago, and this was called the buzz guy boots. So
Uh-huh.
you had to say you had something that did this buzz
Okay.
instead of saying the word. And then, yeah, so people were just using this stuff in the class, in offline classes. They had something that made a really like funny noise, and so they were using that instead of using the word.
Mm.
So it was a bit alternative. Was a bit more of giving question, not on tenses, on verbs. Yeah, it was more about guessing. But yeah, I think yeah, actually, it's harder maybe in Italian because you cannot, nouns, you cannot really make it as
Yeah.
verbs.
Yeah. We'll think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I mean, maybe you can also do it with nouns, I guess, as well, right? You could just you could replace it with something funny. But I mean, I think this game, it works really well with higher level students because then it becomes quite funny in a
Yeah,
way because
yeah,
people will ask
Yeah.
questions like, okay, and you can make it kind of fun. You could say, well, sometimes me and my wife, we teapot, but sometimes in public we're teapotting. And so with advanced students it can be quite funny, and with lower level students it's not as funny, but it's still quite a useful way to practice. The only problem is with lowest level students, it sometimes can be quite difficult to explain it to them, and they're like, what do you mean a teapot? And then
yeah.
but it does with, I think, anything B1 and above level students, it does.
Yeah, also because with low level you can practice what present tense, past tense. It's
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
it
so
would
much.
probably
Not so much.
yeah, it would probably also be interesting for Mandarin classes. There's no conjugation in Mandarin at all. So you don't need to conjugate, but then you can practice it with like different sentence structures and practice with different context or word orders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would, so I mean, yeah, so I guess you can adapt it to a number of different things. But what I very often use it for as well is to practice specific grammatical tenses. So I might say to the student, okay, you can only ask me questions using past simple, past simple, and present perfect, right?
Yeah.
Just so they can practice the difference between these tenses. But of course, this is different in Mandarin or Italian or whatever. But yeah, all right. So